Hey you guys, I hope you're doing amazing. So I'm going to start a little series for you guys. So one of my biggest passions for you teenagers and young adults is to be able to catch you before you get into a bad situation, aka relationship, and end up with kind of a derailed life. So a lot of women, or men too, because there's a lot of crazy people out there. Men aren't the crazy people, women aren't the crazy people, they're just crazy people everywhere, okay? So it's not gender specific. What I'm getting at is that a lot of people will tell you that their life was very, very much derailed once they got into this toxic relationship. And that toxic relationship can just be, it can be or it can be abusive. It can be emotionally abusive. It can be physically abusive. It can be all the way down to, restraining orders and hidden identities and like way to the, max. So what I want to do is I've always just thought to myself, why can't we get to these kids before the brokenness starts? Okay. Or if you have a situation like that at home where your mom and dad have a domestic violence situation, or even it's directed at you, where we can say, that's not normal. That's not normal. So let's not accept that from other people, and let's be able to recognize some signs before we are on the receiving end of that. And I didn't have that when I was young. So, I've been in some really bad situations myself. And so I just want to get to you before they do. Okay. This is kind of a little race. So this is part one of a series of how to identify just icky predatory people. Okay. Now in the age of human trafficking, this is a huge deal. All right. Human trafficking has existed forever. I think that because we have the internet and social media, we are just becoming more aware of it. And it's disgusting. And I had just heard a story the other day of a woman enslaving another woman. So what she did is she fooled her into thinking that she was her friend, invited her over to her apartment, and it wasn't her apartment. It was a bunch of men who ended up taking her. And I was like, what is wrong with our world? So anyway, so this is a 8-part series. Who knows? Knowing me, I might add to the series, but we'll see. So number one is called Forced Teaming. This list comes from Gavin de Becker's book, The Gift of Fear. I highly recommend that you read this book. The one thing I love about him is when he says the gift of fear, he's talking about pure unadulterated fear. Living in fear all the time is a curse. Okay, when we are given this, oh my gosh, this is really bad, fear, that's a gift because it causes us to act. Okay, when you constantly live in fear and you're thinking that everybody is a predator, then you just can't live. You can't have a very healthy life, right? So that's where the list comes from. So forced teaming, I'm going to explain what that is. I'm going to give you an example of what that is. So I'm going to use the example from the book. There was a young lady who went to the grocery store. She got to her apartment complex and she had way too many groceries. And one of the grocery bags broke and her cat food goes rolling down the stairs. And this young man comes bounding up the stairs with her cat food. And she's asking for the cat food back. And he's like, we have a hungry cat up there, so why don't we just get you up to your apartment? Catch the we and the let's. This is a group effort now. Even though she did not ask for help, she does not know this man. And what will happen sometimes is women, we have this desperate need for security, right? That is just part of who we are. I think it's kind of equated sometimes as this like organ that we have that we need some security. And so sometimes we will make the mistake of thinking, oh, that is so nice. Like he's just going to help me. No, he did not ask you if he could help you. He is stepping right in to do something that you did not ask him to do. In the book, she says no several times, and he does not listen. And he said something to the effect of, there's such a thing as being too prideful. Something like that. That's a different part in the series. But what I'm saying is that she did not ask for help. And using the we and the let's and the, we have now this group effort is a huge red flag. So the defense to that is to say, I did not ask you for your help. We don't have a cat. Now give me my cat food. Okay? So You just have to call them out on it so that they see what you're doing, because every interaction, a new interaction that a predator has with their first, proposed victim, it's called an interview. Okay, so what they're doing is they're trying to determine how easily you would become their next victim. So if you're just very straightforward with them, you don't need to be necessarily very rude to begin with, but if you are, you are. Okay, it doesn't matter. There's plenty of women that would tell you, I wish I had been rude and not worried about being nice because I wouldn't have been assaulted. Okay, so don't worry about being rude. Just be what I call professional. Be professional and just say, listen, I did not ask for your help and I don't want your help. Now, if he won't give you the cat food, then just walk up the stairs. But I'm going to give you an example from my own life. So I don't know if y'all have been to the Kansas City airport. I'm pretty sure that's one that I'm thinking of because I've been to a lot. But if it's the one I'm thinking of, they have the weirdest gates. You go through security, but then they have these gates where you go through, you have to actually kind of go through what looks like security again to get into the area where there's multiple gates, multiple airplanes, and it's very confusing. And so I was there a few years ago, and I'm standing at this gate. I actually get through the gate, and then I get a notification on my phone that it's changed, and I have to run over to another one, and I'm frazzled. And I'm running late. I'm worried I'm going to miss my flight. And I end up standing behind this guy who was too friendly. Okay, he's asking intrusive questions. Where am I from? Why am I here? Who am I with? He's making assumptions that I'm not married. And as we got up to the front, we had to, give our ID and the ticket. And he says to the security lady, she's with me. And I was like, what are you talking about? Well, in the interest of being nice, I didn't say anything. I just kind of scoffed. Well, the lady, of course, she's like, I don't care who she's with. I need to see her ID and her ticket. And she stuck her hand out, and I was like, hallelujah. But the defense to that, if I had been thinking a little quicker, is, what are you talking about? Just call them out on it. And then when we got into the gate area, when he discovered that I was on a different flight from him, he just turned it off like a switch. What does that tell you? It tells you he's a predator. And it tells you that he is interviewing people. Okay, he's a nutcase. So what you have to do is be able to recognize those things and get yourself out of them quickly. Back up quickly so that you don't stick around to figure out why this is messed up. Okay, so that is part 1. I will see you in part 2.